Here is Heather Heyer's mother, Susan Breaux, describing her feelings about the man who murdered her daughter.
It's robbed me of my child. It's injured a lot of people, and it's robbed his mother of her child. And he didn't accomplish a thing with his hate. He's done more harm. I hope someday he can realize that. He may never realize that, but I can't buy into the anger for myself. I have to walk past that. I have to walk around it and move beyond it, because it does nothing but cause more hate.
Joining us now for an exclusive interview, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. He's currently starring in a one-man show on Broadway called The Terms of My Surrender. And Michael, I know you were working this weekend, but I know you're also paying attention to these events, the latest in the history of white supremacy in America.
Yes. Well, I've actually followed this issue and covered it for some time. Way back in Flint, Michigan, I was the editor and publisher of a newspaper that I founded there weekly. And back in the late 70s and early 80s, when General Motors started the first layoffs, and a lot of people were losing their homes and whatever, the neo-Nazi movement sort of came in to Michigan and to essentially recruit people who were angry at the system for what the cards that it dealt them. This is essentially...
What was their pitch then?
Their pitch was that, I don't even want to repeat their pitch. Okay. Let's just say a certain group, historically biblical group,
had conspired to create
with the corporations and the banks to make their lives a living hell. And fortunately, most people didn't bite. A few did, and I remember actually before I made my first film, a group of filmmakers had come from New York City to do a documentary on this movement, and it was called Blood in the Face, and they came by my newspaper and asked if I could help them with this film. I knew nothing about film, but I went with them to this giant Klan and neo-Nazi gathering just outside of Flint. This would have been in 1986. And it was quite an eye-opener in terms of, well, jump ahead to Bowling for Columbine in 2002. And then we have the Michigan Militia now. It's a few years after the Oklahoma City bombing. And I went and asked each of the, as I went down the line of these militia guys, what do you do for a living? Because you look at these pictures from this weekend, and you've got accountants. At this alt-right, so-called alt-right thing, you've got accountants, real estate brokers. They listed some of their jobs. It was really teachers, and that's exactly what I saw. I was stunned. There was a real estate broker. There was a guy who owned a deli. There was a guidance counselor. It was.
When you met them and you were doing Columbine, did you think we'd still be living with this in 2017? Did it seem that strong?
No, it was strong, but also remember Columbine, that shooting was so unique and rare. We hadn't had mass shootings like that. The number of guns that we have now in people's homes, numbers close to 340 million. The Washington Post did a great story on this last year where they pointed out that actually only 3% of the country owns half of all of those 340 million guns. So 9 million people in this country own 170 million guns.
So gun wealth is as concentrated as economic wealth. The Gallup poll, tracking poll today, all-time low for Donald Trump today, 34%, taking into account by that time some of the events of the weekend.
Well, yes, but I think when they poll where he won, amongst the people that he won by, he really hasn't lost that much support. And so I ask people who do not want Donald Trump as their president to not take too much comfort in some of these statistics, because there's nothing that can convince me right now, unless he's removed before 2020, that he can't get those same votes less than 4 years from now, almost 3 years. So, but here, can I just say something about this? Has been and I'm only here for a minute or two, and I just wanted to point out to people on days like this, in moments like this, all of our attention is rightly on what is going on in Virginia and around the country. Please know that on every one of these days, Donald Trump is very busy doing a whole bunch of other things that we're not paying attention to. Today, Donald Trump's EPA did something that will suffer from years from now that we don't even know right now. His Interior Department sold off land of ours to people that shouldn't have it. His Agricultural part, I mean, just go down all the cabinet departments. Every day there is something going on, and we are very caught up in the large things that he's doing, threatening North Korea, refusing to acknowledge what happened this weekend, what really happened. And I just want to be the one to point out that take this horror moment that we're in and times it by 20, times it by 200. That's what's going on in every federal agency under his control every single day. I'm sorry to be the one to have to point that out because I'm
an important and necessary reminder.
We have our work cut out for us here, those of us who want him removed, and we must resist him at every step along the way. And tomorrow, I can't really say what I'm going to do, but I and others that you may know might just be showing up to Trump Tower after I get off the stage. In fact, I got 1,000 people in the theater. I might just
tomorrow, Donald Trump and Michael Moore will both be in New York City.
And the Incredible Hulk.
That's a day to watch. Michael Moore, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really
thank you, and a sad day for everybody.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.